Chelsea doing something right that perhaps not enough people are talking about, or perhaps even know about. Welcome back to Football Therapy, ladies and gentlemen, with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well. I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News. My hair, crazy. We will be talking about Chelsea's intelligent financial manoeuvres in today's video. We'll also be talking about Romelu Lukaku agreeing to the sale price that he will be sold for, which we have spoken about before, but it's going around the headlines today and what that could mean for Chelsea moving forwards. Actually, Lukaku playing pretty darn well this season, scoring 4 goals in a half of football for Belgium, as well as playing pretty darn well for Roma, or at least getting the goals. Mourinho, of course, staying with Roma for the moment after rejecting a massive bid to join Saudi. We'll read an article about Rom from Nizar Kinsella. We'll check out Team Talk to find out what's going on with the centre-backs. It looks like Chalobah's just going to be sold in a few weeks' time, which we can reflect on and who we bringing in, should we be bringing anyone in. But I want to start up and talk about pretty impressive wage structure and what's been implemented in the background that, again, hasn't really made headlines because it's not trendy to praise Chelsea, is it? You should only take the mick out of Chelsea. You should only have a go at Chelsea. But anyway, thank you for joining me. We're going to get into it today. Please do consider supporting the content, only if you want to, but you are welcome to subscribe and hit that old bell notifications icon to get notified when I upload. And why not drop a like? Takes a millisecond, and it makes me look good. Boy, it's hot in my little studio. Right, so the new Chelsea owners, they were adamant Chelsea were being run inappropriately for a multitude of reasons. One of that was an incredibly high wage bill. Now, this has been the case for so long under Roman Abramovich. Chelsea, of course, made millions loss every month, I think. Like, we made losses on biblical proportions. We'd bring players in and just pay them silly, crazy wages. And often people joined for the wrong reasons as well. I know Chelsea won and you'd be going to the prestige of hopefully winning for Chelsea, but going to Chelsea was like a payday, right? And that can have bad ramifications. It is essentially what Man United is now. The new owners saw that and they saw that, why are we paying all this money for these players that we can get that value and productivity from much cheaper versions from, bought youngsters that will flourish in a couple of years, which we've seen a lot with the new ownership, or simply just paying Mudryk 96k a week and not 250k a week, and getting them to stay. Similar with Enzo, 100k a week, not 250, 300k a week. So I'm going to use this image from Planet Football to show you the Premier League wage bill, which I think you'll find interesting, because I did. Bing! Here we go. It was cited for FBref with estimates from Capology, whatever that means, but this is from Planet Football. Unsurprisingly, the biggest wage bill in the league is Manchester United. Now, Man United earn so much money. They just do. They're really badly run. I've said it before. If you look at the amount of money that Varane and Sancho earn between those two, who are players that just aren't considered by the manager at the moment, it is crazy. You go to Mason Mount went to Man United for a payday. His dad supports Man United and all that, but Chelsea weren't going to give him the money because Chelsea thought they could get the value elsewhere. Look at the Cole. I mean, I don't know what Cole Palmer's salary is. He'll be on less than 100k a week, and Mount's gone and got paid 250k a week at Manchester United. But the owners, Chelsea, said, no, we can get this value from this kind of player that we want for much less. Man United earn a lot of money. They put a lot of money on wages. And often people go there for a payday. Martial's on crazy money. Now, next up, of course, is Manchester City, which is still loads, relatively close second. About, 730,000 off or whatever. So, wait, no. 7 million, nearly 8 million. Jesus Christ, my brain. Anyway, point being, they're relatively close second. But Man City are a state-owned club. They're a bit like PSG vibes in terms of sovereign wealth fund, state-owned club. But they're backing that buck. They're not the top, so they don't have to deal with the aesthetic of being the highest paid. They can be very thankful, Man City, that Manchester United are knocking about top of the wage bill tree to make them actually look better, because they're by far the best team in the land, City. Treble winners, not even the highest payers in the Premier League. Arsenal pay a lot of money, so Chelsea would have been second or first in the last 20 years. Arsenal are next. Arsenal pay a lot of money. Liverpool and Chelsea are pretty similar. Chelsea aren't in the top four here. Now Chelsea aren't performing like a top four club at the moment, but we have drastically reduced our wage bill because we were massively at the top. Now I think this probably still includes the likes of players that will be gone soon, like Trevoh Chalobah, signed a pretty big deal recently. I don't think that's in the new low wage structure. So when he goes, that will lower and we'll bring someone in on the lower wages. Romelu Lukaku, I know he's lowered his wages, but he was by far Chelsea's highest earner and is still on the books. Now, if you look at here, who's doing well here? Well, Tottenham are doing well. Low wage bill, but then again, I think they might finish somewhere like 7th if they carry on going like this. Obviously, standout, you'd have to say probably is Brighton. I know they've had a bit of a wobbly season, but down there at 15th, they're performing certainly like a top half team, or have been recently, the last couple of years. Similarly, Brentford, good. They're like the models that everyone wants to do. Low wage bill, high productivity and value on the pitch. Now, this is really, really important, because you need to understand that Chelsea have, lowered their wage bill by tens and tens and tens of millions every year. Like, let's just say, I don't know this figure, but say we've lowered our wage bill since the new owners have come in by 80 million a year. That's like buying, I don't know, like 2 Cole Palmers every season, every summer, on top of what you can usually spend. Right? I know I'm trying to, everyone understands the language of transfers and values. Of course, you're not just going to spend on transfers. Chelsea haven't been qualifying for Europe last season. They may not this season. So that's maybe where that £80 million extra on the books goes. So they go to financial fair play people and say, look, yeah, don't worry, we're really smart with money. Chelsea still earn a lot of money as a big European, global, international powerhouse, but we're not doing stupid things like Manchester United. And you know what's really important here as well? Everton. So Everton here, their wage bill's in the top 10, and they've still got rid of, some of their big earners of late. So top 10, Everton, but they've been in relentless relegation battles. This is why they're in trouble with financial fair play, because they spend that much money. Now, Chelsea, fair enough, we've got 50 million more a year on a wage bill than Everton, but Chelsea will make much more money than Everton, usually in placements where we finish in the Premier League, but also just from brand, marketability as a brand. And of course, we've brought in loads of new people at the club to help develop that. Chelsea want to earn much more revenue and believe they can. That's the first thing the new owners did. They came in and went, well, look at the books, we could be earning way more money. And what's all this nonsense about the wage budget? Well, let's sort that out now, because we're burning money on players, and we'll move on from there. Really positive, and it's going to get better as well. I feel like when Lukaku's sold, we'll talk about him in just a moment. I think Raheem will probably stick about, but he's on massive wages. The new owners, even though they signed Sterling, lest we forget, they'll be thinking, oh, we shouldn't have done that. Do you know what I mean? In terms of the long term. But Kendry Páez, when he signs, if Santos gets into the team, Cassidy, all these players, or we sell them for a massive profit. The way we deal with players, it looks like the new regime will make good money on players like we've done so far. Kovacic, Havertz, Mason Mount, be excellent and really sort of savvy with sales, but also just not unlike the old regime, stop burning money on unnecessary wages, which actually ends up being so much. And now we've got a good squad. We are taking a bit of a risk with your Fernandez's and your Mudryks long term, but they're on long-term contracts, and Chelsea feels safe financially in the structure they've built for themselves. And they've got time. They can afford. The idea, was give Graham Potter time until you figured out he wasn't the guy. You can give Pochettino time because we're safe in that sort of thing. I mean, I'm not talking about the allegations that we're currently being investigated with for Roman Abramovich era. That's different. But in the meantime, in the current structure, in the current landscape, the way things are working, it's been smart and safe in protecting the club, essentially. So moving on. We did mention Romelu Lukaku. He's scoring loads of ruddy goals for Belgium. He's like nearly going to overtake Puskás for international goals. He could end his career with more international goals than Lionel Messi, which is wild, really. Nizar Kinsella writes, Chelsea hope to finally offload Romelu Lukaku next summer, with Roma keen to make his loan move permanent. Lukaku is in sensational form, having scored 9 times in 14 games in Italy this season. That's, pretty darn good, especially for Roma, you'd have to say, because they're not going to be like a free-scoring mega power in Italy. So for him to score those goals, that's good. Granted, I think most of his goals have come against the lower teams, so Flat Track Bully is back. And he's just hit 4 goals, of course, against Azerbaijan, I believe in one half of football as well, which is crazy. Despite that form, Chelsea are really keen to just sell Lukaku, and they consider a move, of course, signing another striker in January. So Chelsea have set a £37 million price tag for the 30-year-old striker, which Roma are willing to pay if he's in continues good form. Now, this is a gentleman's agreement. Of course, Nizar's writing this, but Fabrizio Romano has spoken about it's not like a contract, but everyone sat down and said, look, if someone pays 40 million euros, you're gone, mate, don't worry. And he probably thinks, yeah. And if someone, I know he's 30, but if he ends the season with a lot of goals, of course he's free scoring for Belgium since, someone will pay 40 million euros for Lukaku, especially now he's agreed to lower his wages. Roma manager Mourinho would back a permanent move for Lukaku, but the Portuguese may leave the club in the summer. He was offered a £104 million a year contract in Saudi Arabia last summer, with his current deal due to expire at the end of the season. But Jose's ego, he's got to stay in Europe. He's got to stay in the limelight. He's a lot like Cristiano Ronaldo like that. Although, ironically, Ronaldo went to Saudi, but that's because just no one else wanted him. Conte is the early frontrunner to replace Mourinho at Roma. Wow, it just seems like, I don't know, they just follow each other around, didn't they? Conte and Mourinho, whether it's to Chelsea, to Tottenham. I know they've both managed Inter and now Roma. They just keep following each other around. He had a close bond from Lukaku with their time together at Inter. That's important. Kinsella's right here. They loved each other, where Lukaku enjoyed the best run of his career. Roma would need to qualify for Europe to complete a permanent deal, but this could also sell Tammy Abraham back to the Premier League should they want to raise funds. I don't think he'd come to Chelsea. I don't think Chelsea would be interested in Tammy. Lukaku was signed as a replacement for Abraham, who remains out with a long-term knee injury and will not return until January. Juventus were interested in Lukaku in the summer and could come back to him to compete with Roma. Of course, Lukaku remains in form. Milan are also monitoring the situation. Yes, Milan, they still rely on Giroud quite a lot, so they like an old striker, even though 30 is not old, but I don't know. If he goes to Milan, he would be the ultimate snake, of course, because of the Inter stuff. But would you be surprised? I certainly wouldn't. Lukaku would need to forego at least half of his wages to make a permanent move. So he's on 325k, but he's not. Apparently, he's already signed something with Chelsea where he gets paid less to go to Roma. I can't say for certain, but there are reports, I think multiple reports from different sources, that actually to get the Roma loan done, he agreed to substantially lower his wages and actually moving forward. I don't know if it's for that loan, so Chelsea didn't have to pay the money, or if it was indefinitely. But he will have to forego loads and loads of money. But, he can go to friggin' Saudi Arabia when he's 34. Do you know what I mean? He can do a whole contract somewhere else, or 4 years of a 5-year contract, and they can sell him to Saudi Arabia, and he can get a couple of massive pay years out there, So he, in theory, he remains Chelsea's highest paid player on the books, with 2.5 years left on his contract. Now, this actually ties into what I said at the first story of the video, the wage bill. If that 325k a week is still reflective of Chelsea's wage bill that we said, that will be massively juicing it up, which means Chelsea's wage bill should be, once Lukaku leaves, even more impressive. But someone who recently signed a new deal as well, and you think would be on significant wages, who is also about to leave through the door, is Trevoh Chalobah. Transition, please. Thank you. TeamTalk.com writes, Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund have pulled out of the running to sign a player Pochettino has no use for, and the reason for doing so cannot be argued with. Among the numerous areas Chelsea have invested heavily since Todd Bowley took charge is centre-half. Of course, Benoit Badiashile, Wesley Fofana, and Axel Disasi have all arrived to complement the ageless Thiago Silva. Levi Colwill has been integrated into the first team this season, though primarily as a left back for the time being, but of course is an excellent centre back himself, Levi Colwill. With 5 superb options to choose from, injury permitting, it's no surprise to learn Pochettino has no use for the odd man out, Trevoh Chalobah. But Fabrizio Romano, this is obviously in the article here, has constantly reported Chelsea are going to sign a centre-back. I guess that centre-back that we're going to sign is accounting for 2 out and 1 in, because we still need to bring the number down. And that 2 out would be, of course, Chalobah, but also Thiago Silva. I mean, it has to end eventually, bro. Does it? Doesn't it? You know? Chelsea are open to offloading the 24-year-old in the off-season. Where, in the last off-season, of course, Bayern Munich, Tottenham emerged, though a move did not come to pass. And actually, I think Bayern would have signed him had they not put their efforts and attention into Palhinha, which didn't cross the line, because Tuchel wanted a centre-back that could play right-back to replace, was it Pavard? What's his, the outgoing player who was playing both those roles, and Chalobah would have been perfect. Chalobah has missed the bulk of the current campaign for injury, however, even if fit, it stands to reasons his opportunities would have been limited. Trusted transfer guru Fabrizio Romano has repeatedly claimed Chalobah will be sold in January. Chalobah will leave, 100% confirmed is his words. A move to Germany with either Bayern Munich or Dortmund has been speculated. Of course, Tuchel's coached him at Stamford Bridge, and he was that kind of like profile that we said that he wanted. However, according to Sky Germany's Florian Plettenberg, Chalobah will not be moving to either Bundesliga giants. He says this: FC Bayern and Dortmund are both out of the race for Trevoh Chalobah. Both clubs are not planning to get his transfer in the winter. After another muscle injury tear, the 24-year-old will only be match fit again at the end of January. Really frustrating. I thought he had quite a good fitness record, but more muscle tears for Trevoh Chalobah. Look, man, either way, like, he goes in January, he goes in the summer. I think people will sign him. Again, Chelsea will stay calm on this, and I'm going to say those words again, so take a deep breath. Chalobah is a pure profit sale. He's a Mason Mount, he's a Ruben Loftus-Cheek, he's a Lewis Hall. He's free money to slam dunk into your books to make the owners smile. Yes, the fan base don't always like it. It can be distasteful. Many people will be upset that Mason Mount went originally, but it is what it is. I was, but I've certainly made peace with that sale. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, it hurt. But, you know, it makes my heart smile to see him ball out for Milan in the Champions League, and L'Équipe comparing him to prime Patrick Vieira, and they are very stingy with their praise and ratings. So how can you not be happy to see that? I don't think he's the profile of midfielder necessarily that we'd use either. We use, Enzo as the sort of pass master. We've got more of a stopper in Caicedo, and then you've got a high octane presser in Gallagher. Ruben isn't that. Ruben's like a big lump that wants to like gracefully dribble from midfield and you bounce off him. So I'm happy he went. And Lewis Hall, he's a Newcastle United fan. He got his dream transfer to Newcastle United, is what it is. Trevoh Chalobah, it was a little bit of a feel-good story when Tuchel brought him in. He played really well. He looked like another academy positive story. That was really good at the time because, of course, Tuchel came in after Frank Lampard, and after Frank Lampard it was like, well, fun's over now, boys, the academy dream is over. You've got a European Galactico manager in Tuchel who's just going to play like the expensive guys. But no, it was a feel-good story. Of course, he ended up playing Mason Mount, and Mason Mount, the second season, absolutely exploded under Tuchel. But, the Trevoh Chalobah thing was a great story. He signed a new deal, and then he signed another new deal recently, maybe to protect his value, I don't know. But look, man, I love our centre-backs. I love Levi Colwill. I love Badiashile. I think Axel Disasi's growing on me, the more senior of the bunch. We will love Thiago Silva, of course. And I shan't forget about my boy Wesley Fofana, though I do have concerns for him. I do wonder what Chelsea's long-term plans are for Wes. Anyway, let me know what you think. Long video today. If you have enjoyed the content, please let me know by commenting and liking the video. You are, of course, welcome to subscribe. Hit the bell if you do. And I just hope to see you guys back here tomorrow, eh? Take care of yourselves. Peace.